Hello there, everyone. Nubkeks here, and Nubkeks from the past from our kill video here of Inerva Darkvein. This is the raid leader review commentary. I'm going to walk you guys through the fight, talk about what you need to know, and yeah, we'll sort of pause and break it down as we go. I mean, the first thing, actually, ironically, I wasn't actually raid leading this fight. I had to miss one of the raid nights, which was the night that we did the progress on Inerva. So it was fantastic. I just got to walk in the next day, do a couple of pulls on her, and get the kill. It's great. Every raid fight should be like this. Zero effort required. But yeah, I'll talk you through the strategy anyway. So on pull, you tank her where she is basically, and then you want to have the ranged like at the kind of at the pointer here of this jar is the position generally. The reason being that as these jars fill up, the mechanics are going to get worse, and the specific one we're positioning for, and that dictates nearly all of the positioning of the fight, is the bouncing jars. Once they pass 33%, the bouncing jars are going to leave permanent pools on the ground. So essentially, we want to bait the first set, like over here in front of jar 3, and then you just keep rotating around the room. The tanks move the boss a little bit further, the ranged move in here, bait the next set over here, they move around, and again, you're going around the room counterclockwise, just around the edges of the room, and you just keep baiting the set of jars in front of the previous set of jars that you got. They mostly target range. Some go on melee. You just have to play around it. And the reason you go around the edges as well is that once the jars pass 66%, after you do the initial set of soaks at the edge, they always bounce into the middle. So you can have more soaks in the middle of the room. So you want to keep the middle as clear as possible to make it a bit easier. Right, so we'll hit play. And we'll just go through it. But yeah, it's funny enough, this fight is probably harder on heroic. Because you have to open the jars at specific times and blah, blah, blah. We entirely ignored the jars. Now, if your DPS is a bit lower, you will have to open, I think, jar 2 and 4 for a little bit each. But we just ignored them and never opened them, which makes it significantly easier. And yeah, you 3-heal the fight and have a good time. Those are the bottles, the soaks, just the circles. Range, need to do that. Oh, let's actually rewind this bit here, because this is cool. So again, for the bottles, just one ranged per bottle. Soak them. Fine, just stand in it, that's it. We added this weak aura, which is quite nice for the ads, lightly concentrated anima. I think there's actually a few different types. I'm not sure if the name changes. You'll see the weak aura anyway if it does change. This isn't important for me. I just have the weak aura for the sake of it, really. But for any specs that have immunities, and in particular short immunities, so AMS for Death Knights, Spell Reflect for Warriors, those specs can actually immune the ad cast, which is extremely handy because it means that less ads will spawn, which means less of your damage will be wasted. And it also means you can also, I think even Spell Reflect will do some damage to her. So let's see right here. Yeah, we're only getting 2 ads. I think the Ice Block absorbed the first one. So this is reasonably okay. Possibly you could save longer cooldowns for like longer immunities like Divine Shield or Ice Block on Fire Mages. You could save those for later in the fight. It's about a 5-minute fight, and it gets harder at the end. So you could save immunities for later in the fight. It's not a massive deal though. Certainly AMS and Spell Reflect should be used in every set of ads, so it makes those specs really valuable. And you got 2 sets of ads, as you can see. We have Auto Marker. I think Bigwigs just does it, in fact. It's going to mark there can be 2 caster ads. They just spam cast Condemn. They just need an interrupt. You need 3 short interrupts, or whatever. That should do it. We actually don't have enough interrupts assigned, but you know, just other people kick him and it should be fine as well. Then there's also this big guy. He needs to be tanked. You do want to kill this guy. This guy does do quite a lot of tank damage, so you're really hoping that you immune him to save your tanks. I think our tank actually might get killed by him here. I guess we'll find out. We also had for the tank ads, when the big circle spawns in them, I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, whether it's at the 33% or 66%. I don't even remember. But at one of those stages, the player actually gets rooted. So we have Freedoms and Tiger's Lust assigned so that those players can get, you know, the root gets removed, they can come in. And you want to drop them beside the boss. If there's 3, you want to do a Venn diagram, so like 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Have them all overlap, and then you can drop like AMZ or Power Barrier or Spirit Link on those 3 players. Whatever, they do take a fairly big chunk of damage. But yeah, anyway, that's it. So this is the first part of the fight. Bloodlust on pulse, really easy. Just blast her through, kill the ads, keep them kicked. That's fine. So I'm not sure why the tank dies. I guess because there's only 3 heal. I guess he's getting a bit clapped. I don't know. Alright, as you can see, there's actually not that much going on here. Oh, here's something that's actually important. So when the tank mechanic canister, so there's also a tank mechanic where they have to look at things and stuff. Kind of like that boss in Jadefire Masters in Battle of Desire Lore. But once the tank marker passes this is actually important. You can see it's going to put this shared cognition buff on a number of different players, which means that some of the damage you take is going to be replicated across those other players. So this debuff is actually quite important, which is why I got a weak aura for it here. That's probably what killed the tank, actually, I guess. But yeah, this is where it's important to use defensives. If you have this debuff, you want to avoid soaking the bottles. And if you have this debuff and you need to go and break the orbs, then you need to use a significant defensive. You need to be looking to use your health stones or health pots during that section. I'm going to actually mention talking about the orbs. This is how you deal with the orbs. So you'll get 4 on Mythic compared to 3 in the other difficulties. So you just have one person come and one person deals with 2 of them, and then the other 2 players just line up. There's a few different ways you can line it up, but essentially all you need to know is that one person who's close to the 2 orbs that are close together goes and deals with that. I think I do get orbs at some point in this fight, so we'll see. All right, let's just let it play through. Like I said, there's not a whole lot going on. Here's the next set of ads, so you can see that. I think some of them got immune by turtle there. They're going to stack up. That's fine. Melee, just move out of the way and then move back in after. Help the soaks. You can see I'm looking around. Whenever the soaks come in, I'm looking around. Is there a soak near me? Is there anything being missed? I'm going to go do it if so, etc., etc. Unless I've got, like I said, that debuff, in which case I'll try to avoid it. One thing the boss does, which is a little annoying, is that she does spell queue quite a bit. So removing the boss at this point, this is much too far. The boss does not need to be moved this far. Again, you just want to move her sort of slightly so you're keeping these pools relatively stacked. So for example, right there, this is really inefficient. Because she's been moved so far, the DPS have actually lost uptime. And like I said, this is a DPS check boss, and your strategy will be easier if the more DPS that you have. So you don't want to move her that far, that quickly. And she doesn't need to be. There's so much free space. So move her shorter distances. And essentially you want to move her kind of after every set of ads is a pretty good timer. But yeah, like DPS, range DPS are stuck there, losing a lot of damage here. Especially for the people that have to soak the bottles. That's kind of a waste. Like, she does not need to be this far. There's so much free space. So yeah, move her in shorter, much shorter increments here. Much shorter. So she could be tanked. She could be probably tanked right here, honestly, like for the second set of ads. And then drop the range bottles around this entrance sort of area of the room where she starts off, the platform kind of thing. And then you could bring her up there, this sort of area for the fourth set of ads even. You could have 3 and then 4. And then have 5 in like the other area of the room, the clean area. So yeah, there's a bit of over movement there. Okay, cool. Well, there we go. Those guys are going to do it. They're doing their thing, and yeah, there's not much else going on here at this particular point. We're just chilling. Here comes another set of ads. So this is set 3. As you can see, because of immunities, we actually only get 1 ad. Immunities just entirely break this fight. We've got soaks. We're just looking to help out with a soak here. There we go. Stand on the bottle. Take the bottle. Doesn't do that much damage. We're all good. No rush whatsoever to kill these little lads. It's totally fine. These little lads are very, very easy. Just keep them kicked and they'll die to cleave, essentially. Another thing you can do and should do is have movement CDs. Again, this is really over moved. Movement CDs, when you are moving the boss, can be useful. And you can have movement CDs like a Windrush or a Druid Roar. Those can be very useful for people that get the orbs. So again, the set of 4 orbs that you need to break, 3 players have to break them. Just using a Roar just for those 3 players can really help out because you want to break those orbs as fast as possible. The orbs get extremely difficult, especially after you pass 66%. So again, this boss has been way over moved here. Like we can't DPS the boss doing these soaks. So it's a lot of lost damage. She doesn't need to be over there. She could be just here, something like that. So the boss movement is bad. Yeah, just move her less. Pretty obvious. Like one of the things that's going to happen now is that you're going to get a few puddles baited onto the melee. So there's going to be a few spatterings of puddles here and a few spatterings of puddles here, like in a way that doesn't need to be. Whereas if the boss was here, you could, after this, you know, fourth set of ads, potentially, you could move her, or after the fifth set of ads, you could move her even deeper into the room now. That being said, after the fifth set of ads is pretty much the limit of the fight. You gotta kill her by then anyway. There's a tank explosion. They need to be run out. I think after this passes 66%, the tanks need to go drop it out. We're gonna bouncing soaks very soon. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit trickier. As you can see, though, this is where the fight actually gets hard, right? So this is the point where the fight is hard, and the boss is already at 20%. Up until this point, the fight's super easy. So you're gonna have two more difficult things happening at this particular point. Thing number one is that when you soak the initial set of bottles, it's going to be another set that are in the middle of the room. And then number two, the 4 orbs that you have to break with your lasers have lasers connecting them above 33%. But more importantly, they actually start spinning once they go above 66%. That's the hardest thing by far. So you'll see that relatively soon. So here's the bottles. You're going to see these are going to soak. And again, this is, you'll see, like, there's no way to TPS the boss here. The boss is too far away. Well, actually, maybe it's just about close enough. But you'll see these now. These orbs with the lasers, they're going to start to spin. We actually get sins. So here we go. It's starting to spin. So this gets very nasty. You absolutely must not touch this laser. So come across, break them. Again, one person handles 2. The other 2 people go to their edge. That's super important. And just, there's a wasp in my room. And just finishing that quickly is basically all you got to do. So I don't have dispersion. I don't have any defensive CD. If I remove the thing, they're down there in the middle of the screen, 1 minute and 2 minutes. So I'm only going to soak one of these. And then I soak another one here. That's fine. Actually, 2 people in this is a little bit overkill. Like, I don't know. I could have poured it away, but I was already there, so we'll just stay in. But you can see, again, at this point, the boss is basically dead. Just burn her down. Big DPS, big damage. Kill her off. This set of ads, she's so close to dead. You just want to keep them tanked, keep them kicked, and you don't need to particularly worry about it. I'm not sure what those red orbs are floating around, to be honest. I think that comes from the ad thing being above 66%. Just ignore them, I guess. Don't stand in the red orbs. They're probably bad. Break the set of sins. I think here this kick, actually, nobody kicks this. So you can see it actually shot out a thing and killed a bunch of DPS. Or a bunch of players. So we're very close to a wipe there. And again, if we look here in these last few seconds, you can see in terms of the jars, this is why I said you could empty jar 2 or 4. They are the most full. If the jars fill up, you wipe like a couple of seconds later. So just watch out for that. But yeah, that's the fight. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, honestly. There's almost nothing happening for this entire fight. So again, just break it down. Like for the ranged DPS, you are just baiting bottles, baiting the soaks, bait the soaks to, you know, just in front of the previous soaks, start them off over here, and then just, you know, move a bit and do the soaks. Simple as that. That's pretty much the entirety of what you're doing. For the melee DPS, help with the soaks if they're close to boss. There's usually 1 or 2 that's going to be close to the boss, so help with the soaks close to the boss. And then you're probably just going to be on kick rotations for the ads. Very, very simple. For tanks, it's just about moving her sort of slowly and steadily around the room. You know, probably after every ad set, you can move her a little bit. You know, obviously not for the first 2. After the first 2 ad sets, you can move her a bit. After the third one, move her a bit. After the fourth one, move her a bit. And then you've got probably loads of free space if you need it. So you got loads of space to work with. And for the healers, it's, yeah, spot healing people with the debuff is very important. And yeah, stuff like that. But it's a very simple fight. Like I said, I mean, nothing happens. Like, we don't have the hard mechanics. The 2 hard mechanics don't kick in. So the first hard mechanic here for us kicked in. This is when it spawned that sins. Here it comes. The sins is spawning in right now. That didn't start until 4 minutes into the fight. And the boss is at 27.9% when the first hard mechanic comes in. And then it's not until what the boss was like closer to 20% where we have the second hard mechanic, and 17% when we've got the second hard mechanic and the stuff. So yeah, there you go. Good luck. It's an easy boss, just DPS race really. See you next time.